Are you ready to finish our So Happy quilt? Today we will do the backing, the binding, the embellishments, and something a little special. Hi everyone, Cristin here, and oh boy, so we have our entire quilt top finished. Don't you love it? My favorite is definitely the sewing machine, the personalized sewing machine blog. How fun was that? And I loved seeing on Facebook all of you sharing your photos. So we have the top done. So what do you say we finish this quilt off? So today we will do the backing, the binding, the embellishments, and a quilt label. So more on each section, so stay tuned. So let's start with what we are going to work on next, which is the backing. So for the backing, it is on page 33. There are the full details, and it is the light blue fabric with floral designs all over it. Isn't that so pretty? I love this one. This is our backing fabric, and we're going to start with this at 28 by 40. So I always I'm going to iron it out, make sure all the seams are out. I'm going to iron it, and then I'm going to lay the top down on top of the backing, and then I will start pinning. So I recommend really good pins. I should grab my pins. Hold on. All right, so I recommend these curved pins. They're by Dritz. I will add a link. Let's see, it's going to go here for these pins. The big ones are the ones that I use most often, but I also have them in a smaller one for like the inner borders or smaller blocks. But they work great. They're really, really sharp. And if you've heard me talk about sharpness before, I bought a long time ago, I bought my first set of pins, and I bought them in a bunch of colors. It was a multicolor set. And I was like, oh, these are so great. I love them. And there's even a pink. Well, I had to throw them away. They just did not work at all. You can't get through all the layers. So think about, there's our appliques, there's the batting, the stabilizer, all of the things. You want sharp pins that are going to go through. So these work great. I swear by them. I love them. And I have a little case for them. So if you haven't done Stitch in the Ditch before, then I'll show you. Don't worry. I'm going to show you all of the process of it. We're going to start from the center of the quilt and work our way out. I pin each block, and then when I complete stitching around each block, I take that pin out so that I know it's done, and I don't have to keep switching or lifting up the quilt to see what's done from the back. So that works really well. So Stitch in the Ditch is easy. It doesn't take long at all. The other very, very, very key thing is using invisible thread. All right. So I used invisible thread. I have a couple of personal favorites. This one is Sulky, and I will add a link here. All right, for the Sulky thread, you can get it really quick and easy on Amazon. And then I also have Gutermann, and I really like that one too. So I'll add a link there for the Gutermann. You can click on those to purchase from Amazon. It's an affiliate link for me. So these both work great. I've tried several, and some of them are not great at all. They're like fishing wire, and all of them are a little bit like fishing wire, but you want a clear invisible thread. On the back of the quilt, so in our bobbin, you could use a white, you can use a thread that is going to match our backing fabric, whatever works for you. I also suggest a moving foot. If you have a moving foot, walking foot, that's what it's called, sorry, walking foot. On most machines, they call it a walking foot. On the Brother and probably the Baby Lock also, they have a move it foot, and it's pretty great. I'll share photos of it, and it works really well, and it just makes it so that like the feed dogs, it pulls the fabric right through. I don't know all of the specifics, but it works. So that's all that matters. So you will want a special foot. I have done it with my regular foot with like what's it called? The Stitch in the Ditch foot, where it's got this little thing down the center of it, and it kind of opens it up so that you're stitching right through the center and makes it a little bit easier to not go off. But if you go off, don't worry, because you've got your invisible thread. It's not going to matter. Believe me, I promise. Nobody's going to like eyeball it and go, hey, did you go off on the stitches a little bit? Who cares, right? So don't worry about it. It is a very easy process, and it's actually quite quick too. So that's the first thing, is we will work on our backing and do our stitch in the ditch. And then after that, we will do our binding. All right. So next up is our binding. So the binding is also on page 33. And it is this light blue with floral. So another floral, but it's a different floral. And these are 2.5 by width of fabric. Let me see how many. There are 4 of them. 2.5 times width of fabric. And I mentioned in the prep video, if you do not stabilize the binding fabric and the backing, by the way, you can choose to do. Some people do stabilize their backing fabric. It may help it to lay a little bit more evenly. I don't bother, but it's totally up to you. On the binding fabric though, I would not stabilize it. I have done it before by mistake and it works out fine, but it makes it a little bit easier to make those mitered corners if you do not have this stabilized. So 4, did I say 4? 4 pieces, 4 strips of 2.5 inch width by length of fabric. So width of fabric. So big long strips, 4 of them. And I'll show you, we're going to add them all together and make a big roll of them. I'll show you all of that process when we do the binding, and that's an easy process too. And some people like to do binding. There's lots of different ways of doing binding, and some like to do by hand. I don't know if they do. We start from the back and then flip it over, and maybe that's the part they do by hand. I'm not really sure. I don't do it by hand. I tried once on a tiny little pillow and hated it. So ever since then, I've got a different way of doing my binding, and I will share that. I make a little pocket for the ending to go into. It's really simple, very, very simple. You don't have to figure anything out. So I'll share that, but you do you, whatever works for you on doing your binding. And then we will do the embellishments. So I was looking at this, and there's not that many. So we will do the embellishments, and I will do step by step each one. We will go over, you know, add this button here, add this piece here, whatever. I will add all of that information on our last tutorial. This is our last tutorial. I'm going to try and get all of the parts in. And then the special thing, I worked really hard on this like all day yesterday, actually a couple days, but I made a quilt label. So, you know, if you've been with Cristin Creates for a while, you know I feel pretty strongly about a quilt label, because what it does is generations from now. So my grandchildren, their children, you know, when I'm done on this earth, there will be a label that says, hey, my great grandma made this, right? So you want to have that legacy. So I made a quilt label. And I've never done this before. I don't know anything about digitizing, but I created my own quilt label, and I'm pretty happy about it. And I stitched it out on felt last night, and it worked great. So what I did is I traced a sewing machine, and then I put it on my my scanner on my Brother Luminaire machine, and I scanned it and created it into a digitized embroidery file, and then I added a border. I used 3 different fonts for my personalization. It says So Happy in the navy blue. I used all the colors from our thread kit for Oh So Happy. I put in my name and then the year. So I made this, and so special thing, I am going to send this to everyone that did a donation, everyone that sent a donation to support the Cristin Creates tutorial. I am going to send you this file because I made this. I can send you this. I'm pretty happy about it, and I can do it in whatever format, but I need the information from you. So those, I will reach out to those that have already sent in a donation to the Cristin Creates team for the tutorial. So I will add a link here. This is for PayPal. If you want to send a donation on PayPal, that helps support our tutorials. So all of the video equipment, all of the editing software, all of the things that go wrong with the computers, all of the things that go into making these tutorials, I appreciate your support so much. And there are several people that sent a donation. We started this, I think the announcement video was February 10th, I believe. So during that time, the entire time that we've been working on this project, and through the end of the month of June, I am going to send you this quilt label that I made so that you don't have to do it. And if you send me all the information, I will even personalize it for you. I will put your name. All right. So I need the name that you want on there. I need the format that you use for your embroidery machine. And I'm just doing this for a small amount of time because we're going to jump into our next project. But from the entire time that we started this project through June, I am going to send this file to those that send support through Cristin Creates, through PayPal or through Venmo. You can do Venmo if you prefer Venmo, whatever works for you. And I just want to tell you, I really appreciate your support. It really helps. So when my microphone went bad a couple months ago, I was like, oh gee, another expense, right? And yet you guys have made it so that I don't have to worry about these things. The support is hugely appreciated. I very much appreciate it. And all the time that goes into these, I have so much fun. I have like the best job in the world, and you make it so that I can do these for you. So I appreciate that. So I am going to send you this file. I'm pretty excited about it. It's stitched out great. This is 6. I made it so that it fits within a 6-inch hoop. So if you have a 5x7 as your biggest hoop, let me know and I will see what I can do about shrinking it down. But this will fit in a 6x10, a 6x6, 8x8, whatever you want. And I made it so that it will fit, and it's pretty cute, huh? I like it. I did it on regular stabilizer, and I'm just going to sew it on after. I will show it. I also took photos of the whole process so that you can go through that as well, as far as stitching it. So anyway, we are going to finish this quilt today. I'm really excited. This has been a really fun project, and there are more projects, so just don't forget. So let me show you the front of the book. This is the one that we are finishing today. We still have all these other little ones, and they're going to be like a couple day projects. So we're going to keep going while I'm also working on the Red, White, and Bloom quilt and finishing that quilt up as well. And then we have Falling for Autumn coming soon. Falling for Autumn is our next big project that will start at the end of June. I will add a link here for those that haven't purchased your supplies yet. Our sponsor is here for that project. It's going to be a really fun one as well. So let's get started. I think we're ready. And how are you doing with your goal? Don't forget to share and tell me how you're doing. So my goal is to find joy, right? Finding joy for this So Happy project. I've had so much fun. It like really opens your eyes. When your goal is to find good vibes and find joy, it really opens your eyes to all the things. So my husband took me to Coeur d'Alene last week. We just got back a couple days ago. Oh my gosh, we had the best time. We did an awesome hike. I will share photos of our hike. And it's really funny. While we were on this hike, he saw this like cliff that wasn't a cliff. There's like this area below, but it looked like a cliff. And he's like, I'm going to go hike out onto that. And I'm like, okay, you go right ahead. And so I sent the photo of him out on this hike. I told him to put his arms up. I'll share that photo. And I told him, I took the photo and I sent it to his mother, and his mother's like, what are you doing? I'm kind of evil that way, right? It was pretty funny. She was very concerned, but there wasn't a cliff, but it overlooked this beautiful Coeur d'Alene lake. Oh my gosh, it was gorgeous. And then we did a bike ride. It's called the Hiawatha Trail. I don't know if you've heard of that. I've heard all about it ever since I got here and thinking that that's just the thing to do. And so we did. And I'm a road cyclist. I have this pink road bike with arrow wheels. It's a very light bike. I've ridden 1 billion miles on it. And we get there, we rented bikes, rented helmets, rented lights, because you go through these dark tunnels. Like one of them was like 9,000 feet, the very first tunnel. And you're muddy because there's all this mud in the tunnel that's flying up at you. And oh my gosh. So most people ride the 15 miles and it's basically downhill. It's like at this low little slope downhill the whole way. And then you get to the end and everybody took the shuttle to get back. I'm like, 15 miles? No, I can do this. I'm going to ride back. Well, I did. I rode back with the wind at my face. I was the only one. Everyone else is standing in line for the shuttle. And I'm riding back trying to beat the shuttle, which did not happen. But oh my gosh. Number one, I was super muddy, super cold because the tunnels are freezing. And I'm sure there's bats in those tunnels. Oh boy. I got myself pretty freaked out. But the funny thing is this bike was really heavy, this rental bike. And it's like a mountain bike, I guess, where your arms are out like this. And my legs did fine, but my, whatever muscle this is, I can't even remember right now, but triceps. Oh my God. I had to keep stopping and just like shaking my arms out because my arms are so tired. My arms are like so weak. So anyway, it was really a fun experience. Definitely good vibes. They took pictures of how muddy we got and it was just so much fun. And we saw deer and oh my gosh, beautiful trestles. You go out these trestles and while you're out, you can see across and there's all these other trestles that you know you're going to go across and they're out like in the sky with the trees. Oh my gosh, it was just an amazing adventure, absolutely amazing adventure. And my husband loved it. And it was so cool because I've literally been saying for 5 years that I want to go somewhere. I want to do something. And let's go to Coeur d'Alene. Let's find the beautiful places in Idaho. And we get there and he's like, oh my gosh, why didn't we come here 5 years ago? This is beautiful. He loved it and he wants to go back every year now. And so how fun to get out and see things and find joy and good vibes. And it was such an incredible trip. Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I'll share lots of photos so you can see. Our hotel room was overlooking the lake and it was so beautiful. And now I'm getting a call. Sorry about that. So it's overlooking the lake and my husband woke up before I did and he would open up the blinds and you sit up in bed and you're just looking out over the lake and oh my gosh, it was just so beautiful. Absolutely wonderful trip. Loved it. Absolutely. So what are you doing for your goal? If your goal has been to find joy, share what you are finding that is joyful and exciting and good vibes and making you happy. Or if it's strength or cleaning out your craft room or whatever your goal is, I want to hear about it and how you're doing with it. And my shirt today, oh my gosh, look at how short my hair is. Sorry, I see it in the mirror and I'm like, oh, it's awful. This cancer blocker pill is making all of my hair just break off at the ends. So anyway, sorry, I digress. So My shirt today is this tank top. It is not an embroidery. It's just like whatever that, the heat press thing, probably hot transfer, whatever you call that. But it's just a tank top I found on Amazon. In fact, if I find it, I will add a link for you. It's a pretty great tank top. It's going to be 89 degrees here today, so I thought a tank top was a really good idea. It's going to be very hot, and I am super focused on finishing our quilt today, so I'm going to be working really hard all day today, so a tank top it is.